से start करते हैं. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Shivani, Assistant Professor at KCC ITM. Today we have virtually gathered to enlighten ourselves on the topic of drone technology. Before we switch to our today's speaker, let me give you a brief idea about drone. In simple word, it is an unmanned aircraft. Means there is no human sitting inside that aircraft. Drone are more formally known as unmanned aerial vehicles or unmanned aircrafts. They have various applications. They are controlled by various softwares through their embedded system. They work in conjunction with onboard sensors and GPS. There are many applications such as in the farming field, biological service, disaster management, and many more. Without further ado, I pass on the proceedings to Ms. Shagun, our first year enthusiastic student, to carry forward the proceedings of the webinar and invite our speaker, Mr. Vikas Kumar, Senior UAV Engineer at Drone Technology. Over to Shagun now.
Thank you, ma'am. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. A very good afternoon to all of you. Today I'm Shagun Sharma, second year student and student coordinator of this event, welcomes you all to this great event. That is the scope of drone technology in India. For me, drones have always been fascinating. I always wondered what makes them to fly. After watching the movie Three Idiots, I realized that there is a whole engineering behind that. Now today, we have got the opportunity to learn about the drone technology from the alumni of our own college of the batch 2015 to 2019. He works in the field of design, integration and testing of the drone technology. He has experience of working in the R&D field with IIT Kanpur. Currently, he trains the new member for the design technology. Now I request Mr. Vikas Kumar to share his experience and views on the drone technology in India.
Uh, Thank you for the brief introduction. So I will be carrying the session from here on. So we have gathered here to get a brief on the drone tech, and we will be focusing on how we can get a startup and use our current knowledge in order to make a good startup in the drone field. So currently, if we talk about the current situations in India, most of the industries are switching toward use of drones either in one or the other way to boost their productivity, how to boost whatever the processes which are going on. They're trying to adapt this technology so that the overall process of the industry can be optimized. So before we go deeper into our session, let me introduce myself a little. So I work here as a UAV development engineer at Hubble Flight Technologies Private Limited, and I am a UAV instructor, PGCA certified UAV instructor at Drone Destination. So Hubble Flight Technologies and Drone Destination are sister concern company which works together. Hubble Flight Technologies is the manufacturer of different industrial grade UAVs which are currently being used in India at many different places. And Drone Destination is official training partner which imparts industrial training of the drones which are manufactured by Hubble Flight Technologies. So I am in the development field with Hubble Flight Technologies and as working as a UAV instructor at Drone Destination whenever required. So a bit more about Drone Destination. So Drone Destination was first in FTO, Flying Training Organization, which was approved by DGCA for imparting license training to all of the candidates for UAV and RPAS. I've also worked as a senior project associate at IIT Kanpur in UAV development field, which was a research project of DRDO called AURA. And my core competencies are development of UAV, which include multi-rotor, fixed wing, and hybrid UAV. So this was a brief about me, whatever the work which I have done till now and whatever I'm doing here as a UAV development engineer. So next will be what are the content for the discussions, what we will be carrying out during our whole session. Here I have listed down in a broader manner so that you can get a brief of all over the parts which will be being covered in the session. So first we will start with what is a drone, UAV or RPAS in basic. we'll cover why to switch to drone on existing technology, current opportunities in India and drone industry, rules and regulation in India for the drone users, key skill set required to work as a startup in the current market, and industrial domain available as an opportunity. So before starting this all, I would like to ask a question to you that whether whoever is attending the session, how familiar are you with drones or UAVs? Have anybody of you flown a drone before? Anyone? Okay. We'll start with the basic. What is a drone, UAV, or ARPA? So whenever you will be listening the word drone or UAV, then there are multiple number of times. Some of the places it's mentioned as a drone, some of the places it's mentioned as a UAV, and some of the places, like the government, have introduced a new term called ARPAs. So this is the official term which is accepted in India for all the government users. That is called ARPA. So ARPAs is remotely piloted aircraft system. So this RPAS consists of the air. These not only include the aircraft, but its command and control link, whatever the payloads which you will be having in a drone, and the system itself. So this consists of the system, its RC controller, its control and command link, and whole payloads which you will be using. So if we talk about a drone, uh, the drone can be a single entity, means only the RC and the vehicle can be said as a drone. But when we talk about the art, yes sir.
तो सब यही बोलते हैं,
Sorry?
सीधा हुआ, ये दोनों से सीखो। यहाँ तक तो वो पंडित जी के बेटवा को कह दिया कि ये सुधरा हुआ मकान मालिक, ये सुधरा हुआ बच्चा है, सिधरा हुआ बच्चा है, इसे बिगाड़ मत दियो, ऐसा बोल रहा है। पूछ लीजिए बउआ से।
हेलो माइक ऑफ करो।
Whosoever mic is open, please shut it down.
रोहित रावत माइक ऑफ करो।
You are in a webinar. Why are you talking here? Sorry,
So
you can't continue,
Okay,
Vikas.
yeah, you continue.
Okay. So now the second question comes to us. So we'll be switching to our presentation further. So why to switch to drone technology on the existing technologies? So see, we have a different technology available right now. So if we talk about the works which are going on in India, it will start from aerial filming to aerial inspection to surveillance to thermal inspection, then aerial mapping and other inspection of the various pipeline, existing industrial asset like dam, thermal power plant and others. So it's not like that these inspection or monitoring have started just now. These have started a bit earlier also, but earlier the mapping or the inspection which were done from the aerial platform like helicopter or aeroplanes, which were having a lot of technical expertise requirement. Then it was having a huge cost involved in that, and next they also involved a lot of risk, and the payloads which they carry were very lighter, but the cost involved in whole project was very high. So first, why we use drone here is the cost involved on the system and the whole project is very less. It can go to more dangerous areas where reaching through a helicopter or a manned system is very much highly costed and very much dangerous. Then the whole timing which we cover a area or a project with drones is very small as compared to the larger system. So all these things bring us to a smaller system called UAV in order to get all this project done in a shorter span of time and getting a better cost compared to the earlier systems. So we will be switching. Yes. So I have shown the product which we developed here in India. So these are the multi-rotors. First is the multi-rotor called Starage, which we develop in India. So if we categorize a UAV in three parts, so UAV can consist of three drones, or which can be characterized as multi-rotor, fixed wing, and hybrid VTOL. So what is a multi-rotor? So if you talk about a drone which has four motors and propellers which help it to drive, or it means the configuration can be changed. It can be a quadcopter, it can be a tricopter, it can be a bicopter, it can be a hexacopter, or it can be octacopter. But all these have multiple numbers of rotor. That's why these all are classified as multi-rotor. So this is a product which we manufacture in India. These are according to the whatever the qualifications needed according to the NPNT guidelines and the government. So this is an approved model which we use. Uh, if we talk about the application of this model, it consists of a mapping camera, which can be used for different projects. Like one of the biggest project which have came till now in a drone industry is the projects of Survey of India. You might have already known about this project, which is given by the Prime Minister office for mapping of 6,000 villages at pan India level. So our this UAV has been in competition of tendering with other UAV manufacturers, and this will have qualified the technical standards whatever was required by SOI, Survey of India, for mapping of different villages. But it was a second thing that we were not the L1. L1 will get the project who have quoted the lowest cost. But this was a UAV which can give an accuracy of under 10 centimeter. So that was the requirement of Survey of India. Second is fixed wing. So the second system is fixed wing. So first system is multi-rotor. The advantages of multi-rotor are following: that very easy to use. It can take off in a very dangerous environment also, from not a problem. But the disadvantage of the system is the flight time of these systems are limited. So most of the multi-rotors which are available in the market, if you see, so the flight time of all the system would be around 40 to 50 minutes. But if you want a system to be having endurance of more than 1 hour, or if we have a requirement of a system which can do a border patrolling, let's take an example of border patrolling. So for border patrolling, the system must have an endurance of 2 to 3 hours so that it can cover a larger distance in a single flight. So in that case, we will be using fixed wing systems. Why fixed wing system? Because fixed wing system uses very less power. Most of the aerodynamics, the wing generates a lift, and it helps to sustain the UAV for a longer time in air. The only thrust which we need is for pushing the whole system in the front direction. So in place of multiple rotor, we only use one rotor in fixed wing, and due to the lower power consumption of being a single motor, fixed wing gives a longer endurance if we compare to electrical propulsion system also. Then if we talk about the different fixed wing configuration, it can be of fuel fixed wing also, it can be of a gasoline, and nowadays the technology has developed this place that hydrogen fuel cells are also being used in fixed wing. The third category is hybrid VTOL. So we don't have any images of fixed wing till now. We are developing different fixed wing. We will be coming up with. So I haven't put a picture from fixed wing. So this image is also of a multi-rotor. This uses we use here for the training purpose. This is called DD Master, and this is only for the training purpose. It doesn't consist of any type of payload for industrial use. It have a FPV camera which give you a live feed on the GCS laptop which you will be using. The last uh, the last category is hybrid or VTOL system. So the best system which we have developed till now is called hybrid or VTOL system. VTOL stand for vertical takeoff and landing. So what is a VTOL? If I explain you in a layman word, then VTOL is a combination of above two, multi-rotor and a fixed wing. So that's why it's called hybrid. So first what happens is, if you see the image, this is our product with the official from the DGCA. So it have already the four rotors, and if you can see clearly, then it have a wing also, which gives the aerodynamic, the what I was talking about, that the wings generates a lift, and lift helps to maintain the system level altitude for a longer period of time. So If we talk about fixed wing have some limitation. If we want to use a fixed wing at a place where it's highly dense forest is there, then we will be facing an issue for takeoff because fixed wing generally requires a runway, or if you are using a smaller fixed wing, then it will require a hand launch. But then also to go at a proper altitude to maintain a height, they requires a longer duration of time and a longer clear area so that they can maintain the altitude and go to your required altitude. But if we talk about hybrid VTOL system, so these systems take off just like a multi-rotor. If you have seen flying a drone, then the whole system, when it starts to take off, you set a altitude. Okay, I need a photograph or a live video footage from altitude of 120 meters. So as just we upload these whole mission to the system through our GCS laptop, then the system will take off from here with using these four motors which are in the this leg in the left and right side. So it just takes off as a multi-rotor, and after it has reached the altitude of 120 meters, then all these motors will be switched off. The system will be using the lift generated by these wings and the tail. And now there is a motor in the reverse side which is not clear in the this image. So there is a back motor which is generally in the fixed wing side. So the reverse motor will start and the whole mission will be continued only using the reverse motor. And at the end, when the mission or whatever the mission you have just uploaded on the UAV, after completing the mission, it will again come back to the home position. Then the rear motor will stop and front four motors will again power up, and it will just come and land at the home position. Whatever the latitude and longitude of your home point will be stored in the data. So these systems enable you to get a higher endurance because overall all the mission were being done by the rear motor. So the power consumption of four motor compared to one motor will always be less. So these systems enable you to get a longer endurance, but also have the whatever the plus point of multi-rotors which we were having, that it can take off in any place, not having any problem, and easily take off and then take the advantage of fixed wing, get a longer endurance, again come back and land. So these systems enables you to operate in a more hostile condition, more whether the condition is not good or you have to operate in a disaster situation, then these systems you can easily deploy there. These can give you a longer range as well as they are able to take off as a multi-rotor. So now we will be moving to the next slide. See, if anybody have any questions related to multi-rotor fixed wing and hybrid VTOL, you can ask in middle. You can just stop me and ask, or I will be moving forward with the slides. So if we talk about what are the skill sets required for the industry, we have just seen that, okay, these are the systems which are being used. Our company is also manufacturing these systems as well as we are imparting the training for these systems. These systems are deployed in various places in India with many government as well as private organizations. So if I look from a fresher basis, or if you are in a second year or third year and you are looking this industry as your career, you want to build a career in this. So I have noted down what are the skill sets required for the industry, what are the skills which we require here on a daily basis. So first, I will go one by one. First is the design. So you must be very well aware with the design software which are being used. Like when I was passing out, we were using Fusion 360 as for designing software in our college. So whatever the design system which you learn, don't only learn to, okay, I know these tools and I can use this software. That is not the way. You just try to design any industrial equipment on that software. If you are able to do that, then you can do anything. Okay. So if I talk about the UAV industry, designing is one of the major part involved in development of any system. Okay. Because whenever you go to the market, if any customers comes to you, he doesn't know about design. He doesn't know about what is the endurance, what type of system he will use. Only you have to decide, okay, this is his requirement. He will tell you what is my requirement. It will tell you, okay, I want a system with an endurance of 90 minutes, with an endurance of 120 minutes. Or if he is from mapping background, then he can tell you, okay, I want a system which can give me endurance of 40 minutes and a GSD or accuracy under 10 centimeter. So for that, everything matters in a UAV, from the designing, how you have designed the system, because design, why design matters more is whenever you are flying a system, there will be a air friction or a drag acting on the system. So the more aerodynamic design will be, the more efficient the system will be. So designing is one of the major part involved in this. So if we talk about the mechanical background, all of the mechanical student must be having a good designing knowledge. Second, if we talk about the second thing is knowledge of various conventional and non-conventional machine. So if you have a good design, then you must have a knowledge of how to manufacture that designs. So for example, if we take as a landing gears of a multi-rotor, for landing gear of multi-rotor, you must be having knowledge of composite manufacturing if the design is on the composite basis. If not, then you must have a knowledge of 3D printing if we are using a 3D printing, or you can have a knowledge of how to do a vacuum casting, how to do CNC of different landing gear. All this knowledge you must be having in order to get a design manufactured at a place, because all all these skills are required. Because see, if you are working in a company and if you know that okay, this process can help me in building the design document or whatever the design the designer has given you, you have to manufacture it. So if you don't know the conventional or non-conventional machining process, like you don't know how to do a CNC, what are the requirements for CNC? If you don't know how to generate a G code, then you can't go to a CNC expert and say that, okay, please manufacture this for me. Because he will ask you just, okay, give me the G code. So you must be very much aware about these conventional and non-conventional machining, so that each and every part which you are going to manufacture, you must be manufacturing in a optimized manner, and not in a manner that the cost becomes very high. Okay? Third is knowledge of additive manufacturing. So additive manufacturing means 3D printing. So for your information, I would like to tell you that 3D printing is also of different types. In general, we know that 3D printing is a machine which uses a wire-like structure, and then whatever we upload the design, it starts to print. But nowadays, the 3D printing is of more than 25 types, which I know. One of the type is FDM 3D printing, which we generally see. Then there are other conventional and unconventional 3D printing, which are used to make different parts which are used in UAV. Then these were the hardware structures. So if we take a UAV and if you talk about what are the parts, then this is whatever the above three skills which I have mentioned are used to manufacture the airframe of the UAV. We haven't touched the avionics part, we haven't touched the software part, we haven't touched the aerodynamics and propulsion system parts. These were only for building the airframe of the UAV. Then next, if we come inside and if we see what is the flight control system, what is the telemetry system, what is the RC system, what is the video system which we are using on the UAV, what are the autopilots which we are using. So all these require an embedded system knowledge, because if you have an embedded system knowledge, then you can easily connect with all different type of payloads and other sensors which are being used in a UAV. So UAV use different type of sensor like optical flow sensor, then heat sensor, thermal sensor. All these sensors are needed to integrate with the flight controller. And flight controller operates on a microcontroller and STM32 chip. It depends on the flight controller to flight controller. But if you have an embedded system knowledge, then you can be an embedded engineer in any of the UAVs company, because this is a basic requirement for all of them. Then next is knowledge of circuit design. So we also as a company requires a person who have a knowledge of circuit design, because I will just tell you from the image reference, the VTOL image which you have seen. Power will be always in the mid section, or we called it as fuselage. So battery will be always placed in the fuselage, and you need to power the four boom motors, which will be helping the VTOL to take off and land at the same place. So in order to distribute the power from the battery in the fuselage to all the four motors, you need to design smaller circuits, which helps to continuously discharge the battery in an equal manner to all the motors. Because a single fluctuation in the battery in 1 second will make your aircraft to the ground very soon. So you need to take care of all these things during the flight. Okay. The next knowledge is aerodynamic analysis and simulation. So after the designer makes the design, what we need to do is all the parts which we have designed in the system must be put in a aerodynamic analysis software like ANSYS or any other software, and then we perform different load tests. Means in simulation, we perform different load tests on each and every part of the system. Like if we have 4 landing gears in the downside of a multi-rotor, then we will be assuming the weight of the multi-rotor with battery, avionics, and everything, and we will be simulating the load on the landing gear, and we will check the result. What is the factor of safety which have occurred? If it's in the safe limit, then only we can go further with this with the design. If it fails to perform this according to our requirement, then we will changing the design. So this is a design process which involve analysis and simulations also. The knowledge of composite aviation structures. So all these materials are not only used means in general material. There are certain composite materials which are used like fiberglass, composite, Kevlar. All these composite materials are used to make the structure. The structure which you have seen last in of the VTOL was made up of Kevlar and carbon fiber mixed composite. Okay, so why to use this composite structure in these aircraft? Because see, if any flying object is there, the less weight will be, the more the endurance you will get, because the less power will be required to move it up in the air. So this is the principle. So the lighter airframe will be more endurance you will get. That's why compared to conventional materials, we use composite materials. So because composite materials are lighter in weight. Then next skill is basic cell chemistry. So there are different type of cell currently being used in the industry. One is lithium ion cell, then second is lithium polymer cell, then lithium phosphate cell. So basic cell chemistry you must understand that okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using lithium polymer cell, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of using lithium ion cells, and what is the disadvantage of lithium phosphate cell. Because all these cells have a different chemistry. If you manufacture a cell of same capacity of lithium ion, lithium polymer, and lithium phosphate, then all these three will be giving a different output for the same configuration. So according to your need and power consumption required during your, like assume if you are flying the UAV in an area where wind thrusts are very higher, then the power consumption of the UAV will be higher. So in that cases, you must be using a lithium polymer cell because the discharge capacity of lithium polymer cells are very high compared to lithium ion cells. But if you are operating in an area where wind gusts are very low and you are operating in a plain area, then lithium ion cells are good as compared to the cost, and the power requirement is low. So lithium ion cells will be economical for you to use in that case. Okay. So this is the basic cell chemistry which you should understand. Then you should understand the basic electronics before manufacturing, basic electronic knowledge before manufacturing a cell. Like if you are given a cell of LG MJ1 or Samsung VTC6, and you will be given that, okay, my power requirement as a designer will be 40 amp to 50 amp. Then you must understand what is the package, what is the configuration, like 4s2p, 7s6p, what is the number of series and parallel cells you will join to make a battery so that it gives the accurate current consumption so that the UAV remains stable in the air. So these all comes under the basic cell chemistry. Then knowledge of development of web-based software development and basic of radio controls and communication. So if you talk about the ARPAS, ARPAS is the one is the UAV. UAV controls UAV are based on the embedded structure and other embedded system like autopilot, telemetry, other sensors which are integrated on it. Then second is your RC, that is basic of radio control and communication, which communicate with the a UAV whenever you need. Means mostly, if you talk about our industrial drone, they are fully autonomous. You don't need to control it manually. But if anything goes wrong, or if aircraft behavior is not good, it's not following the path which you have already uploaded to it, then you need to take the manual control and bring it down and land, then check what is the problem. So basic radio controls you should know how to pair a TX and RX of a 2.4 gigahertz working frequency. Then if we are working frequency is 477 megahertz and other basic radio controls you can know, then you can also work in this industry. And last is knowledge of development of web-based software development. So behind these, as I have told, means already mentioned many times, that we are our system are fully autonomous. So in order to upload and plan the mission, we need any web-based software which is working on the GCS system or the GCS laptop which is connected with the UAV. So in order to work from a laptop which is connected to UAV, we require a app which can work on Windows. So different means the point which I am trying to make here is the person from CS can also work in this industry because there is huge demand for making GIS software, for making GCS software. GIS is the mapping and the aerial survey industry which are using different software for pre-processing. Okay, so assume drone. We have manufactured a drone, it flies very good. But what next? You are going to serve the industry. So in order to serve the industry, we use different mapping drones which collect the data at a regular interval of the area of interest. Whatever will be the area of interest, you can just run the drone above it. So after taking the images, you are just not going to make it happen like, okay, these are the images, you can take it and your work is done. No, we need a software which can stretch the images and make a 3D model so that the client which is requiring the survey gets an optimal output from that solution. So for that, we need different softwares which are being used here. Another software which we also have developed and used here is for controlling and getting the values during the mission. If we have uploaded autonomous mission on our UAV and it started the mission, then we need continuous input from till the time it's flying in the air, continuous input on the ground control system. So in order to get all the input and get it in a good form on our screen, we need a web-based software. So that software is also developed from the person from CS background. So from CS also you can come in this industry. There are better opportunities here. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So these are the major pros and cons of UAV. So which I already mentioned. We can just go through it once. That pros are okay. It operates in a safe environment. It is a cost-saving technology because if you compare the cost of mapping an area by drones as compared to mapping the area by a helicopter or a aeroplane, then it will be having a larger cost saving. Okay. The next is quality of aerial imaging. So earlier when, yes.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, is there any exception of sensors while making drones?
Sorry, exception of sensor, I don't understand.
सर जैसे कि कोई एक्सेप्शन होता है या फिर हम कोई भी सेंसर यूज कर सकते हैं ड्रोन्स बनाने में कोई टाइप का भी सेंसर्स
हाँ, सेंसर्स आप कोई भी यूज कर सकते हो. अभी क्या है, इंडिया में रूल्स आ चुके हैं. आपको कोई भी ड्रोन उड़ाने से पहले आपको उसको DGCA से सर्टिफाई करवाना है. उस सेंसर से आप क्या करोगे उसका इंट्रोडक्शन देना है. और जैसे कोई भी फ्लाइट होती है उससे पहले आप ATC से परमिशन लेते हो. जो भी कॉमर्शियल फ्लाइट दिल्ली से पटना के लिए ऑपरेट हो रही है, कहीं के लिए भी ऑपरेट हो रही है, उससे फ्लाइट के लिए परमिशन पहले हम ATC से लेते हैं. तो अभी गवर्नमेंट ने एक डिजिटल स्काई प्लेटफॉर्म बना दिया जिससे आपको हर समय परमिशन लेना होता है फ्लाइट से पहले. तो आप कोई भी सेंसर लगा सकते हैं, बट आपको डिक्लेयर करना होगा कि व्हाट इज योर यूज केस एंड वेयर यू आर गोइंग टू ऑपरेट इट.
ओके सर.
थर्मल सेंसर, जूम सेंसर, व्हाटएवर सेंसर यू आर गोइंग टू यूज, आपको डिक्लेयर करना होगा व्हाट इज द यूज केस, व्हाट इज द एंड यूज केस. ओके. The next pros is precision. So if we talk about the UAVs, now the UAVs which we manufacture in our company give an accuracy of less than 5 centimeter. So 5 centimeter means the image which you have, if you make a map with our UAV of any place, and then you can just measure a stick which was lying on the ground uh, from the 3D map which you have generated, and you can go and measure the exact size of the stick, then what is the error value should be there is less than 5 centimeters. If the stick is 100 centimeter, then up to 95 centimeter if I get from the 3D map, then it will be acceptable. So this is the what I try to explain is what is the meaning of precision here. So the 3D map which you have developed must be having a 5 centimeter accuracy. The next point is easy controllable and deployable. Okay. Then minimum obvious danger and health risk, because the remote pilot will always be on a safe place and drone can go and take the images or make the map from wherever you require according to the capacity of the drone, because drones are of different capacity, different ranges like 20 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 2 kilometers. The end use will decide what is the range of the drone. It can vary from 2 kilometers to 150, 200 kilometers also, which will be coming in the different category of UVs. Okay. Next is flexibility for quick inspection and reach hazardous area. Same are the cons, like we have some privacy issues for the use of drones. That's why government have already introduced a rules called US rules 2021, unmanned aerial systems rule 2021. So it consists of all the rules for getting a training, buying a drone, then where to use that drone. All these things are covered in it. Then there is issue of safety, software issue or malfunction. And many times when you are operating a drone on an industrial basis, like if you are doing a power line inspection of 11,000 kilowatt, the power lines which goes from one city to another, then if you go more near than 5 meters to the power line, then what errors which you can get is software issue or malfunction. Then your autopilot might misbehave due to the electromagnetic interference which are near the 5 meter radius of that power line. So these are the consequences for which you should be ready while flying a drone. Okay. So rest all are easily hacked, spying, weather dependent, knowledge density, data transfer speed is low. Okay. So one point is easily hacked. So all these UAV operate in a frequency of 2.4 gigahertz, which is the legal frequency, which is allowed by the government. So there are sometimes that whatever the Chinese UAVs which we were using, all that were based on a single platform. And if you have hacked one platform, then you can hack multiple number of drones with the same platform. But for now, because all these Chinese UAVs are banned in India, so whatever the UAVs which we are developing, we have our own web-based software for that. We have our own GCS software for that. So it's difficult as compared to the Chinese UAV to hack it, because all are using different configuration. The codes are different for all these UAV. So it's difficult now, but earlier the biggest market player of UAVs is DJI. So
Excuse
that
me,
goes for
Vikas.
yes, sir.
Vikas, थोड़ा कैमरा नीचे करना, कैमरा, you know, फेस पर दिख नहीं रहा है.
अभी ठीक है सर.
थोड़ा सा नीचे नीचे करना है. हाँ, yeah, it's okay, yeah. Okay, fine.
And data transfer speed is low. So whenever a drone flies and covers an area of 1 acre, then if you cover an area of 1 acre, it will click images more than 2000 to 5000 compared to what is the height you are flying. The lower you fly, the more number of photos you get. The higher you fly, the lesser number of photos you get to cover the same area. Because if you fly higher, then the field of view of the camera will be more compared to when you fly lower. So there is large number of images which are captured by the UAV, and transfer speed is low because the files which we capture is of very high quality. So these are the consequences of using this unmanned system. But considering all these consequences, then also if you compare with the earlier or the existing system, it's very efficient and time saving. So now we will be seeing current use case in India for UAVs. Okay. So first is uh, any questions till now? Or shall we move further? Anyone?
सर कौन सा ऑटो पायलट यूज करता है?
हमारे पास you are asking about what autopilot we use or what are the autopilots available in the market?
सर व्हाट ऑटो पायलट वी
Sorry, आवाज नहीं आ रही.
सर व्हाट ऑटो पायलट वी यूज?
No, we have developed our own autopilot for our systems. We have our own software also. But in general, if you talk, there are some open source autopilot available in the market. For beginners, it's very good. It's called Pixoc. It have different model, Pixoc 1, Pixoc Q. But all these autopilots have some stoppage. Like all these have some stoppage at certain point of time, and there is a risk of losing your data or it's being hacked. So earlier when we started the company, we were used. Yes.
सर कैन यू रिपीट सर? मैं सर किसी का स्पीकर ऑन है शायद.
Okay, I repeat it. Earlier when we started the company, we were using Pixoc based autopilot, but all these autopilot are open source based and the codes and other things are already in public. So in order to sell your drones and make your drone more industrial friendly, you have to bring your own autopilot in the market. And all these autopilot which are available are manufactured by China and have limited functionalities. So in order to boost your functionality and give the output which is required by the industry for different use cases, you need to bring your own autopilot in the market. So as the time passes, we have developed our own autopilot and GCS software, which is compliant to NPNT. Okay. Nowadays, the autopilot which you import are not permitted by Indian law. By the way, you can get it from some black market, but it will be banned soon. So if you want to try, you can use Pixel based autopilot for your start. It's good autopilot available. There are certain more NASA and CC3D is also available, but it have limited capabilities. You can't make an industrial drone with these autopilot, but at least you can learn how to operate a drone with these autopilots. Okay.
ओके सर.
Okay. So there are many use cases of drones in India and abroad, but I have listed down these cases which are currently being used from the project which we have. I have listed down these all use cases. So first is surveillance. So if you talk about surveillance, it includes many industries, like all the armed forces, they used to surveillance around the border areas or whatever the camp or the military installations are there. Surveillance is being done there. Then second, it can be a construction company which used to monitor its project, what is the development in a week or on a monthly basis. So surveillance can be done there. Then other security agencies like Homeland Police, then the CRPFs, all of them are using some of the drones for patrolling and controlling their own areas as well as territory which are being endangered or any places. So surveillance is a big industry as compared with the drone. We also have some surveillance model which give an endurance about 50 to 60 minutes and which we sell to different defense forces. I can't say the names, but we sell to Indian defense forces. Okay. Second is inspection and monitoring of industrial assets. So this I can explain in a little more manner. Like assume the mechanical people can connect if you have done an industrial visit to any thermal power plant or if you have seen a thermal power plant, then it have many boilers and pipeline installed inside the power plant. So that boilers and pipeline installed needs to be monitored at a certain period of time. Like you have already, you might have studied that there are different type of maintenance. One is preventive maintenance, one is regular maintenance, and one is breakdown maintenance. Okay, so to make a preventive maintenance, we always use inspection and monitoring of the industrial asset. Like the thermal boilers will be heat inspected. We will be using a thermal camera to inspect the whole boiler. If there will be leak or a damage, then it will be clearly visible in a thermal image. Okay. So at the same time, if you have seen any thermal or you can go to YouTube and see a thermal videography of by drone. So what happens is, if you see a pipe, if a pipe is connected from Delhi to any other city, then whole pipe will be monitored. Either it be a water pipe or it be a petroleum pipe or any other thing. And if you use a thermal camera, if there is a leak at any point of time, then you can easily identify that something is spilling out from the leak in a thermal camera. Either you are operating in a day or a night, you can easily get the fault. So at that fault, you will be getting the GPS location, latitude and longitude. You can just mark that, okay, at this point of time, this was the GPS latitude and longitude. There is some problem, and you can send your maintenance team exact at the latitude and longitude. They can go and repair. So your downtime will be very less compared to what will be the downtime when some person will be continuously monitoring, then he will come and back and report, and someone would go and inspect, then the maintenance team will go and do the maintenance. Compared to that, the downtime will be very low. Okay, so same inspection and monitoring are done in railways also. For railway, what they do in is monitoring, they do right of way survey, like from the tracks 5 meters this side and 5 meter the adjacent side, the right of way should be there. The driver should be easily able to see the track. If there is any obstruction or any other things, then you need to clear it out. So railway also do continuous monitoring of their railway track as well as the electrical installation which are based out there. You can see here track inspection image is there. So like this, whole videography of the tracks are being done using drones, and these are currently being implemented. You can also see the tenders which are being floated for drone inspection for the tracks of Indian Railways. Okay. These are the some use cases which I am just mentioning here. There are more as compared to here. Then aerial mapping and survey. So now you might have listened that Prime Minister Modi have made a plan that all the villages around India, that 6,000 villages of India will be mapped, and the farmers will be given a digital data card which they can use anytime to get loans based on their land. Okay, so all these mapping of 6,000 villages are done using drones. And so for aerial mapping and Survey of India, which was the organization which was given the duty to map 6,000 villages, is the biggest customer for drone company who manufacture mapping drones. So we are also connected with them. So they are procuring like 500 drones, 200 drones for a site, so that they can complete this project in a limited number of time. Okay. So aerial mapping and survey not only limited to this Modi ji plan, but next we have many aerial mapping companies which do survey on different basis. Like if any NHI road has to be taken out from anywhere, any 4-lane or any multiple lanes has to be taken. And first, what the NHI people will release a tender that, okay, we want to do a survey analysis for 4-lane from either Delhi to Haryana or Delhi to Gurgaon. Then first survey will be there. The survey will give what is the exact current position of that place now, and after that they will analyze that area. Then what is the right of way from where all these things will be given in a 3D map, and then the whole project will be planned accordingly. And after the project completes, they will do a aerial mapping of the same project. And when both these things are completed, then aerial mapping and aerial survey are clubbed together to make the reports which are presented to higher officials. Okay. Next is precision agriculture. So one of you have just asked a question of the sensor. So one sensor which we use is multispectral camera. Multispectral camera uses different bands, which 5 bands. Generally, we use one band, that is RGB camera, but multispectral camera have 5 bands. So we capture large. If there is a large field, then we capture the images of that whole field, and then we do post processing of that images, from which we can get, okay, this part of the field have some problem, this part of the field have some less moisture, so that if you have a 500 acres of land, and if you have a vegetation going around, then you can just take a drone survey. Then you will analyze that, okay, 20 acres from this coordinates need some more water compared to other. But in general, if you see, if our traditional farmer will go and use the water in the whole field. But if you compare to precision agriculture, you will just use the latitude and longitude, and you will just use the water which is required in the right amount. So these all lead to boost the manufacturing, means production capacity of the farmer in a way. But in India, this is being very less used because our agricultural lands are not as much bigger as what is required for the precision agriculture. But then also in some states like Haryana and Gurgaon, where the farmers have large area, they are using precision agriculture. Then next is delivery. So already you have seen that Zomato and Swiggy have been approved by government for trying the drone delivery. Till now, we don't have a commercial model, but delivery is already in place, and Zomato and Swiggy are already have tie up with a company called Tech Eagle Innovations, and they are trying to make this possible as fast as we can. Let's see what are the outputs, but it's also possible with drone system. Then videography, you already all know that videography is currently being done with the systems of DJI. You might be aware, Phantom and Mavic Air. The next big industry, if you talk about, is thermal monitoring. So thermal monitoring involves multiple number of industry in it. First is thermal monitoring for overall plants, which I have explained. Then second is thermal monitoring of telecom towers and the tower of power lines. Whatever the power line goes from one city to another city, that thousands of kilometers, there is need of regular thermal monitoring of all these power lines as well as the tower insulators which are being used there. So these industry has already opened up in India, and now different tenders are being floated for these things. Different companies are coming forward to make this thermal monitoring happen. So this will be the biggest game changer because this involved many works. One of the main next area which will be in the thermal monitoring is inspection of solar power plants. So if you have visited a solar power plant, there are lakh number of solar panels which are being installed in a solar power plant. So in order to find faulty solar plants, if we go from a manual method, it will take very long time to get a faulty solar power plant, solar plate in that solar power plant. So if we do a thermal inspection of all that solar power plant from above, then the plates which will not be generating the enough amount of electricity will appear in a different color compared to what the other plates will look. So you can easily identify, okay, there is some fault in that plate. You can just note down the latitude and longitude and tell your maintenance team, okay, go at this latitude and longitude and change that plate or check it, what is the problem involved in it. So this will boost the output of that thermal power plant and the downtime will be very less. Next is emergency response. So whenever any disaster happens, so for emergency response, like NDRF team and other teams of India are also using drones. They are also procuring as well as taking on as rent basis, as well as procurement of drone is being done by NDRF and CRPF team. So that whenever any disaster situation comes, drones can be utilized for making area search, then any live people search, then if they want to inspect or give the current status to whatever the head office or any other place, they can usually monitor the area with a very high quality videography, and at the same time the same link can be means live feed can be operated from anywhere in the world from the drones to anywhere in the world. So people sitting in the head office can easily monitor what is happening on the ground. And the last one is border patrol. So our border security forces are also procuring drones from the Indian market. One of the major companies is Idea Force, which are providing a larger number of drones to all the defense forces, which are used in border patrolling and other use cases. So let's go on. So in the images, you can see one more drone. This is an agriculture spraying drone. So for agriculture earlier, for spraying large area, it was a long, hard-working task. So now a spraying drone is also in the market, which helps the farmer to spray the pesticide and insecticide in a very less time in a cost-efficient way. Okay, so it can just cover 5 acres of land, I think, in 60 to 70 minutes, and it can spray the whole area with very uniqueness. Means the amount of pesticide or insecticide is sprayed will be equal to each and every plant. That is the point of accuracy which comes here. The amount of liquid sprayed will be equal to all of the areas. Okay, so let's move to next slide. So next slide is rules and regulation in India for legal use of drone, use of UAV in India. So first point is import of UAVs is completely banned from the DGCA. You might get it on an exemption basis for I think 3 months more, but it have been already been banned. And some of the industries which are very means either related to defense or defense forces, they are only getting exemptions for till the Indian drone industry meets the requirement. Till that time, they can use either for commercial purpose. It's already banned. Second is need for license for the use of drone, license pilot, license drone, license project site for operation. So 3 license you need to take if you want to start your career in drone. First, if you want to use your own drone or if you want to be an end-to-end solution, then what you need to do is you need to do a license for your drone, whatever the drone or the UAV which you are going to use. You need to clear it from DGCA. Then you yourself must be a licensed pilot. Now the DGCA have already started training, different training program with the FTOs like us and other FTOs, 1 or 2, which have started training program. So you also need to be licensed, and whatever the work which you are going to do, either you are going to do a thermal inspection, monitoring, mapping, the project side also must have permission from DGCA, because nowadays many number of UAVs are being used. So airspace might get some problem for the lower operating helicopters for the flight. So for that, they have introduced NPNT compliant, no permission, no takeoff, and another is digital sky platform, from which you can easily get the permission before flying, so that everybody should be aware that okay, at this place, at this altitude, drones will be used. So in order to not disturb any manned aviation, or in order to not disturb the drone operation, the digital sky will take care of all these operations operating at different altitudes. Okay. So digital sky platform from government has been launched in order to replace the ATC tower for flight inspection. So earlier ATC were doing these works that okay, runway number 2 you can land. Then from this runway, this plane is going to take off. What is the altitude of this? So all these things will be controlled from digital sky platform in case of UAVs or ARPAs. Okay. The next point is NPNT protocol must be available with all the UAVs which are being used in India. So what is NPNT protocol? NPNT is no permission, no takeoff. So whatever the drone which you manufacture in India must be having this NPNT protocol. This means that what the permission file which you generate from digital sky, like if you have a drone, licensed drone, and if you are a licensed pilot, then what happens is okay, you can take your drone, you are already licensed, then also you can't fly it anywhere. You need to take the permission file and then upload it on your drone, and drones should always fly in the designated area for which the permission has been granted. So this thing is technically called as NPNT. No permission, no takeoff. If you have got the permission file from digital sky, then you can use your drone anywhere around. Okay. The next is the pilot must have completed his training from the certified training organization in order to operate in commercial space. Okay, this already I have explained. And the last is the UAV which are manufactured in India must pass the quality check of Quality Council of India. So nowadays we were using many imported UAVs in India by armed forces and defense forces also. But now to boost the UAV market in India, what the government has taken some steps is, okay, first we will ban the import of UAVs so that the production capacity of our own Indian companies must increase, and they must do more R&D and bring more product in order to get the customers from the Indian market. Second is small UAVs which the army or other defense forces were importing. They have stopped that importing and they have been switched to Indian market. So in order to get means anybody can be a assembler and say that okay, I have manufactured a drone and I want to give it to defense. So for making a bar, that okay, you need to do a proper research and you can't sell anything to defense. Indian government has made Quality Council of India, that is QCI, to check all these UAVs for temperature test, vibration test, what is the design analysis. All these things will be checked by QCI, and the drones which you sell to any organization now need to be QCI verified. So QCI will check your design files, then what is the operating range, what are the software which you have used, is it easily hackable, how it's going to change other use cases, and all these things will be checked by QCI. So QCI is now the sole body for giving permission to use any drone in Indian market. Okay. So let's move to next slide.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Are there any kind of certified online courses where we can take knowledge about drones, or we can take license?
See, there are multiple courses available on the online platform like Udemy and other places, but they are the courses which can give you an overview. Okay, that this is a drone. These things we can do. Like they can give you a theory session, but for getting a practical session and how drone works, you can only get through the practical experiences. So in order to do that, you have to join any training academy. For the practical thing, theory as far as it is concerned, you can easily go to Udemy and join some courses. It's better.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Yeah, because you have given a very good webinar. Just I want to know what sensor is used for positioning the drone, like at what height it is now, how you are going to take that data.
Sorry, sir, can you repeat once more?
For that, or you are using position sensor?
I'm not able to hear your voice clearly.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Now
Hello.
you can. I am audible.
Yes, now you are audible.
Okay. Because I have one question. To find out what position the drone is flying, right?
Yes.
So what sensor or what technology you are going to use? Like you are using GPS or you are using some position sensor for that? This is the first, and the second question is that for the motivation of all the first year students, actually they are belonging to different branches, right? And I think it is a kind of interdisciplinary research or interdisciplinary startup. So can you motivate in that way, like what is the mechanical engineer part in drone, or what is the computer engineer part in the drone, like? So in that way, the student will get more motivation from your webinar. Thank you. Thank you, Vikas.
Okay. The first question was how you get the position and the time. So we are using the GPS also as one system, and we have our own GPS system manufactured by our company. Both of these are installed in the UAV. A normal GPS system gives the latitude and longitude, and for density, if you are operating in an industrial area, or if you are presenting an industrial solution which you are giving to different industry, there must be if one place cannot connect, we are using another GPS also. So that sense of the each and every time the latitude and longitude of the system. And during the flight, at any point of time, if you want to stop the UAV, if you want to get back the UAV, all these things have been already encoded in the UAV. If I talk about the safety feature, if you have low battery, it always hits a RTL, but it's don't. If the drone communication or the direct communication is lost, then also it comes back by itself. If any other unpredictable behavior happens in air, like telemetry data is lost or any motor is not working properly, then the system is self-enabled and coded in such a manner that it will first detect, okay, what is my distance from my home point. home point is for us. Okay, home point we call it for our easier. Home point is just the latitude and longitude. So system first compare what is the latitude and longitude from my current position to home point. If battery is not low and it can't go back to there, then what it will do is it will land at the same point. If battery is enough that it can return to home center, then it will return to home. So all these things are already enabled in the UAV, because if you give a solution, the system must be intelligent enough to make it stable and safe, because you can't get a regular feedback from the industry that okay, your drone have fallen or any problem have occurred. So all these things are taken place. Now the second thing, sir, जो आपने कहा कि जो फर्स्ट ईयर स्टूडेंट है CS से, मैकेनिकल से, इलेक्ट्रिकल से, तो सर एक स्लाइड में मैंने यही एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश की है कि जो भी स्टूडेंट है, अगर हम मैं खुद एक मैकेनिकल बैकग्राउंड से हूँ सर, बट आज की डेट में आप अगर मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं तो आप सिर्फ ये ना सोचिए कि आप पे एक सेमेस्टर में 6 सब्जेक्ट है तो आप 6 सब्जेक्ट पढ़ेंगे और यू विल एस. दैट इज नॉट द थिंग. ऑल द थिंग्स आर इंटर रिलेटेड. अगर आप मैकेनिकल पढ़ रहे हैं तो आपको इलेक्ट्रिकल भी उतना ही आना चाहिए. बेसिक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग आपको हमेशा आनी चाहिए. हमारे टाइम पे तो इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग एज अ थी सर, अभी पता नहीं है या नहीं वो फर्स्ट ईयर के लिए, बट बेसिक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग जो बुक है उसमें जो भी बताया जाता है that is very usable if you talk in these fields like mechatronics field. So बेसिक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग, बेसिक एम्बेडेड सिस्टम, ये सभी कुछ आपको पता होना चाहिए. यू कांट से कि मैं सिर्फ थ्योरी ऑफ मशीन्स या डिज़ाइन ऑफ मशीन पढ़ लूंगा तो उससे मैं मशीन डिज़ाइन कर लूंगा. नहीं, आपको अगर सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं आता है, आप अगर फ्यूजन नहीं सीख रहे हो और आप थ्योरी ऑफ मशीन में 100 मार्क्स ला रहे हो, इट्स ऑफ नो यूज. अगर आप डिजाइन ऑफ मशीन पढ़ रहे हो और आपको सॉफ्टवेयर में सिमुलेशन नहीं आता, इट्स ऑफ नो यूज. कि आपको कोई भी ये नहीं कहेगा कि ये लो ये मटेरियल है इसको कास्ट करके ले आओ. नहीं, पहले सिमुलेशन होगा, पहले डिजाइन पे लोड चेक होगा, उसके बाद ही वो प्रोडक्शन में जाएगा. और आपको इस वे में सोचना है कि मुझे डिजाइन आना चाहिए, स्टार्ट आना चाहिए, सिमुलेशन आना चाहिए. दैट इज इंजीनियरिंग. प्रोडक्शन तो कोई भी कर सकता है. प्रोडक्शन तो मशीन ही करती है आजकल, उसमें डिप्लोमा के लोग होते हैं. प्रोडक्शन कोई भी इंजीनियर प्रोडक्शन नहीं कर रहा है, उसमें डिप्लोमा के लोग प्रोडक्शन करते हैं. आपको हमेशा स्टार्ट आना चाहिए. आप ऑप्टिमाइज कैसे कर सकते हो. अगर कोई एक ये मोटर है, इस मोटर को अगर मुझे डिजाइन करना है तो ये मोटर अगर 3000 RPM पे रोटेट कर रही है तो उसमें फ्रिक्शन कितना ज़्यादा जनरेट होगा. उस फ्रिक्शन से जो हीट जनरेट होगा उसको कम करने के लिए मैं उसको कैसे ऑप्टिमाइज करूं कि एयर फ्लो भी बना रहे और मुझे थ्रस्ट भी मिलता है. ये दिस इज द पॉइंट वेयर इंजीनियर विल कम. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट, ये तो हो गया कि अगर आप मैकेनिकल बैकग्राउंड से है. अभी अगर आप स्लाइड ये देख पा रहे हैं तो मैकेनिकल बैकग्राउंड पे ये जो ट्यूब है, इस ट्यूब पे एक मोटर एक थ्रस्ट जनरेट कर रहा है. उस थ्रस्ट से ये जो बैटरी का लोड है और ये जो फुल एयर फ्रेम प्लस कैमरा का जो भी लोड है वो इस पाइप पे आएगा, जो कि एक कंपोजिट कार्बन फाइबर ट्यूब मैन्युफैक्चर्ड है. तो जब आप इसको डिजाइन करते हो तो आपको पता होना चाहिए लोड बियरिंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ दिस ट्यूब. अगर इस ट्यूब का लोड बियरिंग कैपेसिटी इस बैटरी से कम होगा, इस बैटरी के वेट से कम होगा, तो जैसे ये थ्रस्ट जनरेट करेगा ट्यूब विल ब्रेक फ्रॉम हियर. और ये सिमुलेशन अगर आप नहीं किए हैं और आपने सीधे पाइप लगा दिया तो यू आर गोइंग टू फेल. सिंपल. सो दीज ऑल आर द थिंग विच आर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर मैकेनिकल पीपल्स. अब अगर हम इलेक्ट्रिकल की बात करते हैं, सर व्हाट इज द थ्रस्ट रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर मिशन. अगर आपके पास कोई भी एक कस्टमर आता है तो वो आपको ये नहीं बताएगा कि मुझे what is the propulsion system I require, what is the motor propeller set I require, what is the battery. He will say you, okay, I have a requirement for inspecting this pipelines. The drone should having an endurance of 2 hours. Then you give me a system. So now it comes your role. Okay, which system to give him? Either you are going to tell him about multi-rotor, either you are going to tell him about fixed wing, either you are going to tell him about VTOL system. Then what is the current rating of this motor compared to other motor. Okay, what is the current rating of the battery, what is the, okay, if the current requirement of the motor is higher and discharge rate of battery is lower, then what will happen? System will fail. So you have to check each and everything. Now if you talk about the system, the battery is operating at 24 volt, motors are operating at 24 volt, but the microelectronics which is inside these things, they can't operate on 24 volt. So you need to design a PCB which can bring this 24 volt to 3 to 5 volts, because all our electronics operate at 3 to 5 volt. The autopilot operate at 3 to 5 volt. So in order to make these all happen and function properly, you have to means you must know how to design a PCB. If you know all the components of electronics and you don't need know how to design a PCB, then that is also of no use. Because for making any system, not the system, any system, if you are making a PCB, then you must be aware that, okay, what is the requirement, what is the input I am getting, what is the output I am getting. So for electronic people, not only try to study only the whatever mentioned in the books, that is the basic, that you have to mean bare minimum, that you have to read, it's bare minimum. But after that, you must focus on practical. If you are in third year, second year or third year, start designing PCB. First, start from the step down. Try to design, make a MOSFET. With MOSFET, try to make step down converters. Try to make any circuit and implement it. That's how you can easily compare, means come in the industry, and your hands-on will be very high. That things I will try to know. Third is for CS. So all this system can't do anything if you don't have a GCS software, if you don't have a processing software. Like for during the flight and everything you have made, but you don't have a software, then these whole equipment is of no use. For using these equipment, what you need to do is you need to have proper software for flight planning and controlling the UAV during flight. And next is what the data you have acquired, you need to process that data and give the output to the client, because client doesn't know what to do with that data you have acquired. You have to process it and give. So next, processing software is also required. So all these things, I am not more in the coding background. I am in the electronics and designing side, means you can talk about mechatronics. So, but the software is also involved, and we have a software development team here. Then next, the protocol which I have asked is, which I already mentioned, is NPNT. That is also fully means implemented with the help of software developers here. Okay, so all the branches are interlinked. One more branch is left is civil. So architecture and planning and surveying, the things which you read from the total station and other. Now the whole DPR team which were doing the earlier survey for any road or any other city planning is now switched to drones. So for the civil people, I think the drones is most mandatory thing. Either you realize now or you will realize it later. But for planning and mapping, all the things, the equipment which you were using earlier has now been switched to drones. The biggest means company, government organization, that NHI, they are also releasing many tenders for surveying and mapping, videography of road condition checking. So all these things already being started. You can check and study more about them. You can find some tender and try to study what is the requirement asked, what they are looking for. Then you can interlink that what I have studied and where it is being currently applied. So I have tried to explain all the things, okay, till now. And I think I have completed my session. Any questions you can ask me right now.
Students, if you have any query, you can ask him now. Any student? I think I would like to thank Mr. Vikas for sharing his expertise on this subject.
Susmit, any doubt, any questions you have?
Any questions? I think
yes, sir. I would like to ask one question.
Yes, yes.
Yes, please. You can go ahead.
You can ask the question now.
So, what inspired you to become a UAV instructor?
See, when you think about an airplane or the Boeing airplanes which are being used or Airbus airplane which are being used, the logic behind is when the first plane was being implemented or being started in India, then the first trainers who became was the manufacturers of that. Means the first trainer were from the Airbus. The manufacturing company was Airbus, and Airbus have made trainers in India. Then they are further giving training to other people who are interested in that. Okay, like that, we are the manufacturers of the system which we develop. So that's why the manufacturers or the engineers who are behind this development of the system were given chance to become the UAV trainer. After that, we have trained the trainer batch. Means the trainers from all over India have come to our facility, and then we have trained them on our system. Then next, they will train other pilots from means all of the states who will be there. They will be training them on our system. So that was not my choice, but it was my duty to give the training on the system which I have developed. Okay. One more thing I would like to mention here is, so already we have recruited some of the interns from our college here, and any other who is looking for internship can contact Keshav sir or any concerned faculty from a chemical department in order to start their career, or if they want any type of training or other thing, then they can contact me. Okay, okay, thank you.
Any other question? Anybody?
Sir, can the drone's batteries are also be charged on road without outlet?
Sorry, please repeat.
Sir, can the drone batteries also be charged on the road without any outlet?
Yeah, you can charge it with a generator system, but it need a AC power to charge.
Okay.
Anyone else? It's a good time to ask your queries. Anybody, any student?
Sir,
Yes.
when you have started to when you have started to take decisions about this, and which year?
See, my pass out year was 2019, but interest in drone have means taken me from the second year onwards. So I was working in some workshop organization in IIT Delhi from 2016 only. So from 2016, I was connected with them. I have joined some aero modeling clubs also in IIT Delhi. Then means I have started my career literally from there, from the second year. I used to go on workshop session in Saturday and Sunday. I think Keshav sir would can explain you more in a better manner. And then we have organized some workshops in our college also. So all these things concluded me to go joining a drone company. Then after that, I have joined IIT Kanpur for development of other projects. So that way I have flown here till here.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Anybody? Anyone else?
Sir, one question.
Yes, please.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, you are audible.
So when we make a drone first fly, what if the drone gets out of sight? ARNG.
See, if you talk about the normal systems, if you are out of your radio frequency or whatever the path which you have made, you are out, then it might misbehave or do any other, like it can go and crash, or it can just go in one direction and crash somewhere. But if we are talking about our system which we manufacture here, they are already multiple phases. If it goes beyond going for a flight, if we are going for taking the data of a 1 acre land, then we will make a geofence of 2 acre land outside it. So if drone loses anything or anything goes wrong, then also if it hits the geofence line, which was means developed for 2 acres, in which the 1 acre area of interest lies, as soon as it hits the geofence line, it will again come back and take a RTL and come back and land for our systems. Did you get my point? It always comes back to the home position
Yes,
if
sir.
it tries to go out. So all these things which I am explaining now here can be demonstrated during the training, whatever the training which we give. All these things are demonstrated properly during the training sessions. Okay.
Any more questions? Anybody? Any student?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. So, out of all the completed projects so far which you've done, so which one has been your favorite?
My favorite is always the VTOL systems which we develop, because VTOL systems offer you the capability of multi-rotors as well as fixed wings. It can cover more area, and it gives you more endurance in air.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So my question is, how far artificial intelligence can be used in the field of drones?
Yes, now this is a very good question. So artificial intelligence is the next biggest thing coming in the drone market, because see, now what happens is all the things are being manual. Like if you go for a power line inspection, what happens is if you go at a tower which is in the mid of power line inspection, okay, so that tower, what currently in the industry is being done is you just take number of images of that tower from every point, and then you upload it to your database, the web-based software which you are using. Then the expert person who is sitting at the head office or any other place, he will analyze all the insulator, the thermal images which you have captured, and then based on his analysis, he will give some output that okay, this point you need to check, these things need to be repaired and all. But as the time goes fast, means as the time goes forward, all these checking by a person sitting manually in the head office will smash out. And what will be there, that the drone will be self-intelligent, that it will go analyze, because after doing 100 of project, you have a bigger pool of data. So they can easily learn, okay, means a system in good condition looks like this, and system having some error look like this. So AI will already generate that, okay, this have some defect. Then the number of point which the expert need to check now, and the number of point which the expert need to check after implementing AI will be very less. So the time consumed for inspection will be very less. Okay. So this is the one use case which I have mentioned. There are many compared to this. Like assume if you are going for a search and rescue mission, if after a disaster you are going in an area and going for a search and rescue mission. So what you need to do is one person is flying the drone, second is always continuously monitoring, is there any live object, is there any live person. But if you have implemented the AI already in the drone, that it can detect the some of the means, if there is a live person, it will make some motion, and if it detects the motion, it can just ping you back that okay, there is something happening there, you need to check there. So in that case, AI will help the drone industry to grow further. So AI is the next boon for the drone industry.
Okay. I would like to thank Mr. Vikas for sharing his expertise. Mr. Sushmit will conclude the session now. Over to Sushmit.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Shushmit Srivastav, on behalf of everyone, would like to thank Mr. Vikas Kumar sir for giving his precious time to us and for considering our queries and responding to them with such ease and calm. It was an informative, interesting, and a worthwhile experience. I would like to quote this line by Bill Gates, which states, drones overall will be more impactful than I think people recognize in positive ways to help your society. Sir, your hard work, determination, and dedication towards your goal and career has motivated us immensely. It was such an honor to have you between us. Also, I am very thankful to Mr. Keshav Sir, ICC President, and our academic dean, Dr. Neha Tyagi Ma'am, for this great initiative of Alumni Talk series. Lastly, I would like to thank all the participants for joining us and being such supportive. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushmit. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for giving us the precious time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.